Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Today's video is mainly going to be dominated by talk of Harry Kane. Obviously, as you all know, he didn't turn up for training yesterday, and we have to report today he also hasn't turned up for training. There's a few transfer things to talk about as well, some positive. In fact, all of them are technically positive, although two of them are possible departures. So just before we get into it, if you haven't done so already and you're a regular viewer, please subscribe to the channel. And if you are a new viewer to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you enjoy the content, and you can even turn on bell notifications so you get notified when the next video goes live. Also want to do a couple of shout outs to some of the subscribers to the channel. Baked Bobby. Now, he commented on one of the videos saying that his first ever game that he's going to go to will be Tottenham versus Arsenal pre-season at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So, Bobby, I hope you enjoy the game. I'm sure you'll love the stadium. It's absolutely fantastic. Show some love in the comments to Bobby, wishing him all the best for his first game. And what a game to go to, a North London derby. Whether it's a competitive game or not, there is no such thing as a friendly against Arsenal. So it'll be a good tester of where we're at as a team. See some of the fire in the belly of the players, some of the youngsters getting their first experience of a proper North London derby if they get selected, because obviously pretty much all the players are back now apart from Harry Kane. Some of them won't be ready for the game, so we'll see on that one. Also, Bobby, only take your card. It's a cashless stadium now. Don't get caught out as many fans do, so take your bank card. And then Gunslinger. So Gunslinger made a comment. I know he was only joking. Just made a comment about this cat that keeps making an appearance. This grey cat making an appearance on my lap. For those of you that thought it was a cat, it's just the microphone. That's all it is. It's just the fairy windshield that I put on sometimes because I live in a flat and there's a road just behind where I am, and sometimes you get sirens going past because we're right by a police station, which is great. We're nice and safe, protected. So sometimes that's there. That's why there's the extra protection on that. And it's not a cat, but if you want to name it, I mean, they are actually called a dead cat. And that's because they look like a dead cat. I mean, it's not a great name for a part of a microphone, but there you go. So if you want to name my dead cat, put that in the comments below, and best name will be the one that claims it. Never thought I'd be doing that on a YouTube channel, naming a dead cat, but hey ho, it's 2021 and we've had a crazy 18 months, so have at it. So right, let's jump into it and talk about Harry Kane. So yesterday he was due back for his blood work and COVID test. Didn't turn up. Everything went crazy. Every news outlet, fans. I mean, I went on Facebook and there was a lot of, mixed reactions going on amongst Spurs fans. Some people saying, oh, good on him, why would he come back, he deserves a move, yada yada. Other people saying how disappointed they were and that it was unprofessional, bang out of order, and saying that Harry Kane's going to tarnish his so-called legacy at Spurs. So I didn't make a video because I knew there was more to the story, as there always is, and the thing that I like about my channel is I don't just kick off. I like to get a balanced opinion. I always like more information. So I did some digging, and not much really came of it. And then today, Harry Kane again hasn't turned up. Again, there's been lots like the TalkSport. Jamie O'Hara's been on there, having his little word. Harry Redknapp was on there talking as well. Gary Cotterill this morning I saw on Sky Sports. He's at the training ground. And they've had confirmation that Harry Kane hasn't come to training, but that's it. Tottenham Hotspur, as a club, have not made any statement, have not spoken to anyone, and it doesn't look like they're going to, which tells me one of two things. There's not an issue, and they know what's going on, or they have no idea what to do. So, from a PR point of view, Spurs have been terrible over the pandemic. We obviously had breaches with Jose Mourinho training with Ndombele and Sissoko, I think was the other one. There was also, the Super League, the sacking of a manager, taking a long time to get a manager in, appointing a 29-year-old. But the PR of the club has been terrible. They've been very bad with statements over the Super League, especially with Daniel Levy not coming out, even with an apology, really. Season tickets of ours being the most expensive. Me as a season ticket holder, I decided not to renew. And, more for financial reasons than anything. But what was interesting about that, it took so long to get the money back. I was waiting and waiting and waiting. I emailed Spurs several times to only get told, oh, don't worry, you'll be getting your money back soon. There was no date, no inclination of when we would get an email. The deadline passed ages before and you just waited months for the money. So essentially Spurs were holding on to our money to earn as much interest off that money sitting in the accounts as possible to pay off the debts before it came back. Now, I was okay with the money not coming back and maybe, money going towards the club through interest to help them financially because the pandemic hit us. However, there would have been a lot of fans out there that really can't afford season tickets at all that still get them anyway. So they would have been desperate for that money back. It really would have helped them after a torrid 18 months. And I think members of the public needed the money more than Tottenham Hotspur, who, if they really needed to, could say to Joe Lewis, bail us out a little bit. I mean, they essentially just ended up refinancing loans and stuff. So it worked out anyway, but we could have had the money back sooner. But yeah, back to the Kane thing. It could have been a PR thing. They just have no idea what to do or where to go with it. But then today there's been reports come out. I think the Daily Mail or the Evening Standard, something like that. One of them's come out of a story saying that Harry Kane feels that this has all been blown out of proportion, and that there are plans of him returning later in the week. I think Fabrizio Romano has come out saying something similar as well, that there are plans for Harry Kane to come back later in the week and that Tottenham are aware of the reasons as to why he hasn't been back. There are other reports that have come out. I know Alistair Gold has spoken as well, talking about it, saying, Tottenham were expecting him back and he hasn't come back. But I don't know, there's obviously more to it. There's no way someone like Harry Kane, it would just seem out of character for him to just not turn up. He has made it clear that he wants to win trophies. We saw in the Gary Neville interview, which was, I have no problems with. It was just poorly timed in the release. But they had to film it at the time they did because he was off to the Euros as captain of England. So that's why that happened. But that's actually down to Sky Sports for being cheeky and releasing it when they did. Harry Kane should have drawn up some paperwork to say that they couldn't release it until a certain date. Bit naive on that part. But also, this happened last summer as well. So with COVID, some of the players, there was times where they could go abroad. Harry Kane actually went on holiday and he went to a destination where the rules changed whilst he was there and he had to isolate when he come back, which was just before the season. And that angered Spurs. So Harry Kane to not be back on time for training isn't something new. It's happened before. Obviously, last time it was quarantine rules, but as Spurs haven't made a statement and no one from the Harry Kane camp has made a statement, it would be naive for us to assume that he's just pushing for a move. I know players have done it in the past, Dimitar Berbatov, Luka Modric, they all pushed for moves in their own way and threw their tantrums and got them. I just don't see that as something Harry Kane would do. But don't get me wrong, there is a chance he has done this because all it takes is a couple of bad eggs to get in his ear and tell him it's the way to do it. At the end of the day, he's human. We make mistakes and he may have just taken some bad advice. So to kind of make an assumption that that's what he's doing is wrong, and that's why I didn't want to make a video yesterday. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. My instant thought was there's something more to this than he just hasn't turned up. We've got to remember he's got a young family. Could be something to do with that. There could have been an emergency with another family member. Someone to do with his brother, his parents, grandparents, cousins, whatever. There could just be another reason. He might just not be feeling well. Could have caught a bug on holiday, isn't feeling well, and is just isolating to make sure it's not COVID, waiting for tests to come back. Could be anything like that. But the fact that the club haven't made a statement, it could either be worrying or it could be nothing at all. It's a very tricky one. So Manchester City haven't made any comment whatsoever on it. There's no reports coming out of Manchester. The only thing we know about this, Manchester City wanting Harry Kane, is they desperately want him. However, they have openly said they are not going to pay the money that we're asking. So I think Levy's asking for like 150, 160 million. And this gentleman's agreement that he's got with Harry Kane will be You can go if we get the money. But then on the flip side, Spurs have been adamant that Harry Kane is not for sale. Of course he is. Every player is for sale. Are you telling me if somebody come in and said, we'll give you 200 million for that player that's not for sale, he's going to say no? Of course he's going to say yes. But if it is the case that Harry Kane is just throwing his toys out the pram and trying to force a move, it will definitely hurt him, because Daniel Levy is a very stubborn man, and he will say, do you know what, sod it, you can see out the rest of your contract. I mean, although money is very important, at the same time, we didn't pay anything for Harry Kane. He cost us no money. So if he doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't affect us. We haven't lost any money. We've just lost what would be called potential earnings. It was never something we needed to recoup at the end of the day. And we've got other players we can recoup money for. Financially, we're okay because of the deals and loans that he's now refinanced, or new loans that he's taken out. The stadium's going to be back open, no doubt. We'll sell all those season tickets somehow. And, you know, you've got the events that are coming up in the stadium, things like boxing, gigs. There's just so many branches for revenue within this stadium. So I don't think financially there's much to worry about. So with the Harry Kane thing, look, until something officially comes out from the Harry Kane camp or Tottenham, let's just chill out a little bit, okay? Let's just chillax. Then we'll move on to transfers. So I spoke to you about Joe Hart, the possibility of him moving to Celtic, and there was a little bit of a kick-off from Celtic because they didn't want to pay any money, because we didn't pay any money for Joe Hart. However, he is under contract. Therefore, if we want to ask for money, we can ask for money. Apparently, Joe Hart is set to have his medical with Celtic. I don't know of any fee that they will pay. There will be money involved because Daniel Levy is involved. So we'll see how that one goes. Hopefully he passes the medical and gets to be a number one at a club again. I think he'll do well in the Scottish League. What else? Sanchez. Obviously, we've lost Toby and we've lost Juan Foyth, which leaves us with not many centre-backs. We've obviously got, as proper first-team centre-backs, you've got Dyer, Sanchez and Rodon. Tanganga as well, I suppose. So that's 4. However, there's been talk of Tanganga going on loan, so that would take us down to 3. With Sanchez going, that would take us down to 2. So Sevilla are very much interested in Sanchez. We obviously put him forward as part of a deal for Koundé, which apparently was accepted. But Koundé didn't want to come to Spurs. Koundé's obviously been linked with Chelsea a lot, and they put forward the swap deal with Zuma. Zuma, 1, doesn't want to leave the Premier League. If he does, 2, he wants a lot of money, and Sevilla are not willing to match his wages. So that one looks like a no-go. But it seems that Chelsea are going to go ahead with a straight-up fee and just pay it off, which means Sevilla will be in search of a centre-back, and they are very much interested in Sanchez. And as I've said, I think Sanchez will do very, very well in La Liga. I think that league would suit him down to a T. He's got good fitness. He's got the ability to block. And just the way teams play, I think he'll be fine over there. Hopefully we can get a deal over and get some decent cash in for him. Koundé will go for a decent amount of money, so they will have the money for Sanchez. And we can bump our price up for him a little bit. So fingers crossed that one gets over the line. But then obviously that means we are down to Dyer, Rodon and Tanganga unless he goes out on loan. So Dyer and Rodon are definitely not enough. Obviously, the Tomiyasu deal, we have no idea what's going on with that at the moment. Because of the Olympics, it's gone very quiet. So that leads us on to Christian Romero. And it feels like this one is dragging and dragging and dragging. And in the last video, I actually said to you I felt like this was going to go on a while. And then all of a sudden, I uploaded the video and about 2 hours later, they were saying the deal looked close. I was still convinced it wasn't. And for the pure reason, yes, Atalanta have decided to trigger the clause from Juventus after taking him on loan. However, they need someone to replace him, and that's what this deal hinges on. So we were a little bit far apart. I think it was Friday. By the end of Friday, it looked like we kind of disgruntled Atalanta a bit, and it looked like a deal possibly wasn't going to happen because we were still quite a way apart from them on the fee that we would pay and bonuses. I know we wanted to do it as a part payment deal and pay them a certain amount each year. It looks like now we've increased our bid and met what they want financially. I don't know what the structure of that deal is going to be. That will come out when the deal happens. So it looks like both parties are happy on that. However, Atalanta are not going to sign anything until they get a replacement, which is standard in football. It's very sensible, and Atalanta don't want to put themselves in a position where they're scrambling for a centre-back, because at the end of the day, they haven't actually paid a lot for Romero. So if they can't get anyone else over the line, it's not like they need the money. I don't think the fans would be too displeased either if they kept him. So it's kind of a win-win for Atalanta either way. If they keep him, they keep an amazing centre-back. If they sell him, they're going to near on like between double and triple their money. So kudos to them. Just going back to Harry Kane for a second, because I feel it's the way we need to finish this. From Daniel Levy's point of view, whether they've got the gentleman's agreement or not, and this was similar to Christian Eriksen, we saw in the documentary, they were having conversations that Daniel Levy said he could go, but he needed the right amount of money. It wasn't fair to just allow him to go without Spurs getting what they felt was value. And in the end, Daniel Levy quite humanly allowed him to leave for a very, very cut price fee, which he didn't want to. But there was that mutual respect between them. And in the end, we were just kind of backed into a bit of a corner. I mean, obviously, Eriksen's contract had a lot less time on it than Harry Kane's did. And that was partly Spurs' fault for not tying him down to a long contract, which is why Harry Kane has ended up in the situation he's in. He signed a longer contract because he's one of our top assets, and you protect that. So we learnt a lesson from the Christian Eriksen thing. We had to take a cut price fee, and he was worth a lot more at the time. So, you know, with the Harry Kane thing, looking at Jack Grealish, obviously Manchester City have bid 100 million for Jack Grealish, who, yes, I think is an incredible player. We missed out on a massive chance to sign that player for Spurs. Is he worth 100 million? No, but he's an English player. It goes for an inflated value. He's done very well in the Premier League for Aston Villa. Didn't get as many minutes for England during the Euros as he would have wanted to. But I think that just comes down to the systems we're playing in and Southgate as a manager. But 100 million for him. All that's done is strengthen Levy's position to say to Harry, look, you're England captain. You're one of the best strikers in world football. Look at the amount of goals and assists that you've got for Spurs with the amount of injury time you've had. For Harry Kane to perform as well as he's done with the amount of time he's sat out in seasons with injuries is phenomenal. So if Grealish is worth 100 million, surely Harry Kane is worth 150, 160. And that will be Levy's argument. And Harry Kane can't complain to that at all. So you can see it from both points of view. Yes, Harry Kane deserves a move. He came through the academy. He's done wondrous things for Spurs. He's been very loyal thus far. But he wants trophies, and he's not getting any younger. He's going to be turning 28. Are Spurs going to win trophies? Look, as a fan, I would love to say yes. However, if the squad stays as is now, no, we're not going to win trophies. We are not good enough. End of. It'll be interesting come the end of the transfer window to see who else we've brought in. If we bring Romero in, we need to bring another centre-back as well. So, you know, you bring in Romero and Tomiyasu, the defence all of a sudden looks a lot better. Okay, no doubt Doherty will play better. You know, Reguilon, Sessegnon, Davies, you've got three options there, all of which can offer us something going forward. The midfield, I think, is pretty great anyway. We'll see what happens with Oliver Skipp. I would love for him to stay. I really think he'll be a massive help to us. But yeah, I do think we need to sign another central midfielder if Skippy goes out on loan. And then if we can sign a quality, I don't want to say backup striker, second striker, I'll say. If we can sign a quality second striker, there's no reason why we can't break back into that top four and start pushing for trophies. So from that perspective, like, Levy's going to let this deal drag on, okay? If Harry Kane's going to be sold, it's probably going to be in the last week of the transfer market, which gives us time to build a squad to then turn around and say to Harry, look, one more year. Look at this squad we've built. Let's just see what they can do. Nuno seems like a great person, great manager, the good vibe around the club so far. He's very well spoken in interviews. He seems to be talking one-on-one to players quite a bit. You never know. One more year, see where we're at. I think that's what Daniel Levy will be trying to do. It's just managing to convince him, but it does mean they're going to have to spend this summer. and hopefully a lot of the deadwood will go out and some of the higher earners will go out. But that's it for today. Hopefully we get a proper story come out about Kane soon with confirmation from either his camp or the club, and I will bring that to you as soon as I can. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, as always. Enjoy that game against Arsenal, Baked Bobby. And don't forget in the comments below to name the dead cat. Also, obviously, give me your thoughts on, Harry Kane and what's going on, what you really think is happening behind the scenes. It'd be interesting to see what people have heard. Are you an overreactor? Are you somebody that's happy just to see it out and make a balanced opinion after you've heard everything? So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and support. And as always, guys, come on you Spurs.